It's kind of a transitional episode with a lot of fighting about a lot of nothing, because Teddi is a lot of nothing. She doesn't belong in this episode. I hope this is all that we hear about her this season.
This is something to think about for next season. Teddi announces she's moved in with Kyle. Is this going to be like the 6th consecutive year Kyle has tried to force Teddi back onto the show against our will?
Whatever she has in person does not translate through the camera and through the television to the people.
And even Kyle broke down once and had to admit that. I wish you could see that she's basically, Teddi sucks on camera, but I wish you knew her in real life. Well, that doesn't work. That doesn't translate. So stop trying to.
You shouldn't be a housewife.
Teddi is fetch, and we're not going to make it happen.
We gonna stir it up and do things our way. So if you wanna move, get out of our way.
Hey.
Well, Merry Christmas Kwanzaa, everybody. It's 2 weeks. It's in 2 weeks from the day that we're recording this, which is Wednesday.
Everything overlaps this year. Hanukkah's late. It falls on Christmas. So
yeah. Hanukkah either usually falls on my birthday or over Christmas. So like, no matter what. So yeah, there we go. But I kind of like it when it falls over Christmas, because I feel like, well, I don't know. I'm not Jewish, so how do you feel? Which do you prefer? Do you prefer to have it earlier in the month or around Christmas time?
To be honest, we celebrate Christmas more than the Jewish holidays are fun when you have little kids around. So like my niece and nephew will be in town for Christmas. They're coming for Christmas, but it falls on Hanukkah, so I give them 2 gifts. I give them a real tangible gift, whatever, for unwrappable, and then I give them cash for Hanukkah. So they always get both. But as an adult, we don't really. We're Christmas people.
You're Christmas Jews.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I don't know where to go from that. That was awkward, especially from a shiksa. Sorry.
Well, speaking of, no, I don't know, but
speaking of shiksas, let's talk more about Kathy Hilton's Oceanside trip.
Welcome to this week's episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Whoop, whoop.
And don't forget to rate, subscribe. They just drop into your box. They just like you.
Yeah. And if you follow us and you subscribe on YouTube, even better. Like you can see our gorgeous punums. We're not. I'm gonna really push it because we're only at like 820 subscribers. So we're falling short of our goal of 1,000 by New Year's. So if you guys can really come through, like if you're watching this right now, if it popped up on your YouTube and you're like, I don't know these people, just hit the subscribe button. Just do a mitzvah. Help us out. Just like help us out for this. Help us reach our goal, because like 60% of our viewers don't even subscribe. So maybe we could just make it 50% of our viewers subscribe. So that would be awesome. But also make sure you follow me the podcast on like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on all of our socials. Do that. But let's get into it.
Yeah. So it continues.
Let's finish off this dinner.
Yeah, dinner. It went right back into it, and Dorit was still going. Dorit versus Kyle.
She was in fuego, Dorit. In fuego. I mean, I do like I had said at least a couple episodes ago, that Dorit literally said that Kyle wants blind loyalty. And I was like, bingo.
Yes.
Yeah. And everybody's face was kind of like, that's not untrue.
No one in that moment jumped in to be like, that's not true, Dorit. I mean, everyone knew it's just Dorit was saying it. She was the brave one.
Yeah. But it was an entirely awkward dinner period. Like you just felt it's just one of those ones where it's like, it felt like a dinner where mom and dad are fighting the entire time and nobody really wants to get in the middle of it, period. Like you just like, the only two who, well, no, I mean, like Garcelle stepped in it towards the end, Erika spoke up for herself a little bit, and also, Sutton spoke up for actually Kyle a little bit though too. Like
Mhm.
but all of them except for Garcelle was just like, no, you don't know how to apologize, and I'm gonna stand on my business right now. And I was like, love
I
you,
like
Garcelle.
Dorit's
Like,
reaction. She pauses and turns to her like, "What, bitch?" Well, you know
mm-hmm.
what I mean? That look. She was like, "I've been like she's been waiting for Garza." You know what? Dorit had here a little bit of a Kim in Amsterdam vibe. She was just going down the
Yes.
table. I dare you to speak up, right? You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. One of my favorite parts was when Dorit brought up the text message, when the whole text message, before the reunion thing was brought up, and how like Kyle didn't really get mad at Erika and yada yada yada. But Erika turns to Bose and says, "You should always keep your text messages. Save those text messages." She's like, "Keep them, girl. Do not delete them." And I was like, oh, I love this kind of like behind the scenes,
Mhm.
like it's a little bit of breaking the fourth wall without breaking the fourth
Yeah.
wall of
She
like,
she was giving her a tutorial on how to be a housewife.
uh-huh,
She was like,
uh-huh. And Bose needed that, because Bose after like the end of that dinner in her confessional, she was like, yo, none of these women are direct. Like, I loved her whole thing of like, you pick up a rock and there's a toad, and you pick up a toad and another rock, and she's like, you just don't know. Like, she has these women's number
yeah.
in a way that I don't think other housewives have, because of her, because of her CV, because of where she's come from,
Mhm.
and how she's come up in the business world and everything like that. So I'm excited to watch Bose grow within this group, and who she becomes and who her friends and enemies are. I'm just very
Yeah.
excited.
I love when she was like, "They're not direct. There are layers to every move they make." I was like, "Yeah."
Yes. Yes. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes. Oh my gosh. But I will say this. When Dorit said to Kyle, "I'm sorry I hurt you." I always hate that. It doesn't matter if I like the housewife or I don't like the housewife, when they're like, "I'm sorry you felt that way," or "I'm sorry I hurt you." That's not an apology, period. You
Mhm.
just say, "I'm sorry." So when Garcelle jumped in, was like, "That's really not an apology." Garcelle was absolutely right. Like,
Mhm.
you just say, "I'm sorry." Because the way that like you like she wasn't, and that's fine if either you apologize for what you said and what you did and how you made somebody feel, you apologize for the totality of it, or you don't apologize to read.
Mhm.
You could stand on business and say, "Well, I don't apologize for speaking my truth and doing that. Like,
Yeah.
it hurt you, and for that I am sorry, but I don't apologize for the rest of it." But she doesn't kind of like put that ending point on the business there. So
Mhm.
it's like, well,
It's kind
I'm
of
not
like
going to disagree with Garcelle on that.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it kind of was Kyle-esque too.
Those two kind of have each other's numbers, Dorit and Kyle. So I
They
mean,
do.
yeah. And it's in a
Yeah.
way where they're very similar, so the fight is gonna go in circles forever because that's how they both operate.
The next morning, I felt like Erika was giving Dorit really good advice, basically saying what I think, we've said on the podcast before, and I think others see, that like both Kyle and Dorit are going through a lot right now. And Erika was kind of like, "Look, I've already been there. I've already been a mess on television for a couple of seasons, and like been this angry person. Please watch yourself." Like please. She was giving her like really, really good advice. And I don't think that Dorit is taking it. Now, I like Dorit kind of being angry and being loud and
Mhm.
everything like that, but I do think that Erika's advice is sage. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and then I loved how, though, late in the other room, both Kathy and Jennifer Tilly were like, watching to Kyle, were like, watching you guys fight was like watching tennis being played. It was like back and forth. Like, Jennifer was like, "I kind of liked watching you guys fight."
They even cut to Kathy at the dinner table, her eyes back and forth.
It was great. But then we get a good old, housewives trope of them going on a boat.
Yeah. Something I
Oh,
caught, which I enjoy about this, she does it a few times through the episode, and it's very polite. But I think when they get to the drivers who will be taken on the carts to the boat. Kathy, you know, they're like, hi, and she's like, hi, I'm Kathy Hilton, as if she is some unrecognizable. Oh, just some like she does that. It's very polite. I mean, it's not being full. She's not saying I'm a Hilton, but she's acting like a regular person and introducing herself. And I'm like, no, you do not need introduction.
Yeah. You're not like, you need to address me as the Countess.
Yeah. It was, it's like the opposite of the Countess. I'm like, I think the Countess needs to be introduced. I do not think Kathy Hilton needs to be explained.
I will say this. All of these boat excursions on any of these housewife shows are so, to me, rinky-dink now. Now, some of the boats that they get are very rinky-dink. This wasn't necessarily a rinky-dink boat. They don't really get rinky-dink boats for Beverly Hills. However, after watching 11 seasons of Below Deck and all of the Below Decks, like anything below a below deck yacht is like, you know, and then we're also looking at like Below Deck sailing yacht Parsifal 3. That is the sister ship to the Bayesian, which is the one that that sunk over in Italy with billionaire Mike Lynch and killed 7 people. Like, but that, like, that's a very expensive, like, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the calibers of these boats on Below Deck. Like, these are billionaires or like 100 millionaires that own these yachts and then lease them out to be on the show or charter them. So it's like when we're looking at like this little, like maybe 90 footer, as Sutton said, like this is nothing for a boat.
This was like a day boat, a harbor cruise boat.
I mean, I'm just a snob. I don't even like being on boats, but I'm just a snob after watching Below Deck for so long.
We got a little taste of it because I mean, we got to meet Captain Theo. Was that his name? Captain Theo Stracke, soon to be.
Oh my gosh! You know, Nate, who unfortunately can't be with us here today, which I'm mad at him for, especially now because he texted last night because I can't watch it again until Peacock the next day. He was like, something just happened that made me so mad. I threw my phone at the TV, and it basically was about Sutton. I was like, well, now I'm pissed. Now, what a cock tease to me. Like Nate, he was like, you will know when you see it. And I did know when I saw it. I was like, oh, her getting carried off the ship by Captain Theo just sent Nate's blood boiling.
So, because basically, the way it worked too was Kathy set that up. She's like, you know, she's trying to create a flirtatious moment between Captain Theo and Sutton, so we'd pick her up, very romantic, and take her down the gangplank or whatever it's called. But the way she set it up, I was like, yeah, you're not making her sound too sexy, Kathy. Hey, Sutton over there has fragile, weak little bird legs. She can't walk very well. Pick her up.
You know, though, okay, watching the after show, Erika said it. She was like, don't mistake Sutton, because she knows exactly what she's doing. She knows, like, by wearing a little like kitten sweater and you know, talking about her neuropathy or doing these little things, she knows how to play like the Southern damsel in distress to get men to do things for her. And Erika's 100% right. And so Kathy knew exactly what she was doing by making like Sutton seem a little helpless, because this is the thing. Men are intimidated by rich women who are richer than them. Men are intimidated by women who are stronger than them, even physically. I mean, look, it's hard for me as a tall woman to date in some ways, because, okay, you just talked about on our Kathy Hilton Christmas party episode about Josh Flack having like delicate bird-like features and like bones and stuff like that. And look, the difference between me and Nicole Kidman is only about an inch in height, but there's a difference of about like easily 40 pounds in us. And that's because she has these tiny little bird-like bones. I'm not built that way. Like, so even she as a woman, as us like only being an inch apart, like she seems smaller and she seems tinier. Like, I am more intimidating to a man. So Sutton knows how to be like, play that like thing, because I hate the patriarchy. But this sometimes you got to play the patriarchal game, and so she knows it.
Do you
Like,
remember last season when she met up with Kyle and Sutton was on her way to a date and Kyle warned her, like, don't wear too much jewelry, don't wear a Birkin, because a guy will be thrown off by how rich you are. So like, yeah, make it seem like
and the
you
thing
need
is,
him.
it doesn't even matter how rich he is too, because he could have way more money than her. And it's still like, in a lot of ways, like, it takes finding a very special man. Actually, Nate, you still might have a chance, because she did say in the after show that she likes guys who like hang out in bars, who like know how to play darts and stuff like that. But then they're usually broke and just want a free trip to Europe. Nate's been to Europe. He's okay. He doesn't want a free trip to Europe, but he does know how to play darts, Sutton. So there we go. I think we have the perfect man for you. Nate is not intimidated by wealth either. Look, he lives down the street from Andy Cohen's parents, so it's okay. There we go. Anyway, let's get back. Sorry, I've taken us on a totally off the beat path.
I don't want to sound too snobby about it, but now we know Sutton has a thing for the help between the driver and the captain. I mean, she really seems to like the staff. So,
I think it's fine. She likes a man in uniform. She likes a man who knows how to work with his hands. You know what? I have to say, women like a handsy man. So, anyway, I do. Okay, when they when Dorit on the boat, when Dorit and Kyle had their mea culpa, it was interesting that it was brought up that how the husbands are leaning on each other and they are not leaning on each other, like during the divorce. Like PK and Bo are like hanging out and like these women are at each other's throats. And I think this is just going to be a theme throughout. It's like, why are these women going at each other? And it does seem to be a thing, I think, for both of them, like their ideas of who they are as women, as mothers, has been like dashed. Like these romantic hopes of like, this is my man, that like their fantasy, their fairy tale is kind of gone. Like that's been dashed, of like, who am I? And, like it's just interesting. It's just very, very interesting. I mean, it's nice to see that Kyle and Dorit finally kind of leaning on Garcelle and Sutton, because they, as we said, like they've both gone through this before, but I also think with PK and reaching out to Kyle, I liked that Garcelle was very skeptical of that, was like, excuse me, what? What is that? And I kind of go, I think it's very manipulative, but I don't know who it's manipulative by. Is it manipulative by Kyle or is it manipulative by PK?
Yeah.
And I feel like only time will tell.
I think we'll find. I mean, obviously, the way she told Garcelle, and it was a little moment on the show, that is going to become something later on in the season.
Yeah. I agree.
From what I hear, by the way, it is by the end of the season, Dorit's only friend will be Erika. Erika sticks with her. Yeah. So I mean, I don't think it's going to get any better.
I mean, this is the funny thing, is that I think, episode 1, I think a lot of people went from like whatever their opinion was of Dorit, which was kind of like either like meh or like didn't like her, and kind of did a 180 of like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'm like, I don't know how she's going to be the villain. But on this episode, I was like, I'm kind of seeing it tick back the other way. Like it's not back over the other way or even whatever, but it's kind of like, oh, we've gone up like 45 degrees. Like we're kind of like inching it back, but none of these people are perfect. But yeah.
Well, something that occurred to me with this Kyle and Dorit situation, obviously Dorit's upset that Kyle's been icing her out. I wonder, after last season, if Kyle was assuming Dorit was going to be let go. And I think so. I think she was with you. Yeah, I feel like, it wasn't just icing out. It was kind of like, okay, we don't work together anymore. Bye. And then they hired Dorit for another season, and it's like, oh crap. So,
yeah, Well, I feel like the entire fight with them is really period. It's just grasping at straws.
Mhm.
We'll get into it later. Like it's all these like little things about, we'll get into it later.
It's all
Can
of
we get off the boat?
yeah, I mean, but what happened? There was that. They
Yeah.
cried, they made up a little. We know that's
Yeah.
not going to
Yeah.
last. We got Kathy giving her
Mhm.
advice to everyone.
Oh, one thing that did happen on the boat, found out that Bose has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that we didn't know before. But I do love when she was like, my last boyfriend was basically like a con artist. And I was like, girl, we've all dated a con
Mhm.
artist at one point. And like Jennifer Tilly was like, yeah, they tell just enough truths to
Mhm.
like keep you there, like to make it feel like it makes sense, but it
Yeah.
doesn't. And now I want to hear more about, actually, I really don't want to hear about Bose's like current boyfriend. I want to hear more about her shitty ex-boyfriend, and I want to hear more about Jennifer Tilly's shitty ex-boyfriend.
Mhm.
Like, I want to hear about both of those. But anyway.
Uh, what scenes are okay? So then they went on to dinner, right? From the boat,
Yeah, dinner number 2.
dinner number 2, and that was what were they talking about? Nudes, sending nudes. Oh, it was
Yeah.
I yeah that
Kathy Hilton
that
sending nudes to Rick. No,
I was
I don't want to hear about that.
blushing and cracking up. Kyle didn't want to hear about it. Did she say what nudes would Kathy take? Is she wearing like fuzzy socks and a hat?
When Kathy started talking about, what was it, Caesar's Palace used to have like this mirrored like ceiling that I was like,
Like, oh
no.
god. I thought she was joking
Nikki
when she
Hilton
went
was
in.
like la 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 la.
Okay, this is the part that freaked me out, or I was like, wait, what? So then she goes, yeah, but they're in the safe. They're in the vault. They're in the safe deposit box in the bank. I was like, okay. I was like, that's not a good place to put them. It occurred to me. It's like, we all okay, you guys, Kathy Hilton is major jewelry, like that movie star $1 million kind of jewelry, probably in there too. So now imagine something happens. Paris and Nikki are going through the box. Oh my God, Harry Winston. Oh my God, Cartier. Oh, wait, what's this little envelope that says do not open? No.
Oh God.
It's like,
Oh no. Mm-mm.
yeah. So did you hear though what Garcelle said about Sutton and her dating? You know, you were talking earlier about how Sutton knows how to play helpless and stuff. And then here at
Mhm.
this dinner, Garcelle was like, I would rather be alone than go wear a kitty sweater and talk about my neuropathy on it.
And I'm with Garcelle. That's the thing. Like, my Sagittarius sister and I are in the same place there.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I don't. This is the thing. It's like I won't criticize Sutton or any woman for playing the game that has to be played. Like, if that's what you have to play it, then play it.
Mhm.
But it's not for me. I just can't. It's not in my nature.
Yeah.
It makes me literally physically ill. I do like how like, blunt and messy, well, kind of both, Garcelle gets at dinner, like basically calling out Dorit for reposting Teddy's
Yeah.
thing, which in all honesty, I don't think is a big deal. I think it is a part of, I truly don't think that Dorit was being inconsistent with her feelings about Teddi. I
Mhm.
think that she is, yes, friends with Teddi, not close friends with Teddi, and that she also enjoys the access that Teddy's friendship gives her.
Mhm.
And I think that she also has people pleasing tendencies. It was like, I was tagged and I feel like I've got to repost.
Mhm.
And I don't think it goes very much beyond that. I felt that everybody else was making a big deal because I also feel that sometimes people read way too much into social media than they should. And that's just my take on it.
And it's not like after that I agree with that because it was just a courteous thing to do. She tagged her in something
Yeah.
promotional, and they tag you so that you'll share it too. And I'm
Mhm.
also sure she was aware that after that dinner where she said, I'm not friends with Kat, or I'm not close. She did. I thought she said what she that she's not close, that Teddy's a friend, but we're
Mhm.
not close. So it was
Yeah.
consistent. We're like,
It was consistent.
and I'm sure she was aware that Kyle ran back to her hotel room after that fight and had told Teddi everything. So
Mhm.
that was my
Oh,
thinking.
yeah. Well, and then a lot of people, especially Kyle, but a couple other people were like, "Well, I don't think John Cougar Mellencamp needs help with, like, getting people." And I was like, "Excuse me." I mean, and look, I love John Mellencamp, like, Jack and Diane, everything like that. But we're old people, and you're even older, Kyle. And I mean that in the best way, but, like, look, young people aren't necessarily going to see John Mellencamp
Yeah.
play. Like, they're not. So he kinda does need help. Everybody needs help selling tickets to music venues these days. Like, if J.Lo can't sell anything, like, pretty much the only people selling out places are Taylor Swift and Beyoncé.
Yeah.
Everybody else needs help. So, I think you should actually, like, Dorit reposting is kind of a nice thing for her to do with her platform.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, because with her following and stuff, and just do a Google run on recent mentions of Dorit Kemsley in the press versus John Cougar Mellencamp. Dorit actually has
Mhm.
clout. Not saying John doesn't, but it was helpful to do. She has a big
Yeah.
audience. She's current. So
Mhm.
did you catch that one thing though? When Kathy lit up and was like, "What? I don't follow Teddi."
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, I did. Guys, I really just tune every other housewife out. No, she said that. She's like, "I don't follow her."
Well, I did love when Garcelle in her confessional was like, something about Teddi, and she's like, But Teddi will love it." That basically, like, everybody's talking about Teddi even though she's not there, and I was just like
Yeah.
somebody else said something similar too in their confessional that, like,
Mhm.
Teddi's gonna love that we're talking about her. I feel
Yeah.
like it was Erika, but it could have been somebody else. Somebody else correct me in the comments. Be like, "This is who else talked about
Mhm.
shaded Teddi." But yeah.
Everyone
Um
on that show except for Kyle, when it comes to Teddi, is that Mariah Carey gif. I don't know her.
Yeah, yeah. I will say that I feel like Garcelle and Sutton really do not like Teddi.
Mhm.
They're the 2 that, like, are just like, "No, I cannot abide by her." So maybe it was Sutton. I think Erika tolerates Teddi. Like,
Mhm.
she, like, likes Teddi because Kyle likes Teddi and, like, what and it's old Fox Force 5 bullshit is
Yeah.
what it is. That's what that relationship is. Um But speaking of, like, Fox Force 5, like, girls stuff, Sutton's, like, I would call it, some of the people were saying it was, like, sorority-like or camp-like. I was
Mhm.
like, this is Sutton's Troop Beverly Hills moment of, like,
Mhm.
I used to go to summer camp out in Georgia, out in the, like, mountains of Georgia every summer, probably, and this is my, like, girls thing of, like, "Let's be girlfriends, let's be sisters here." I would have liked it a little bit more witchy maybe,
Mhm.
but I really liked the sentiment, and I did feel bad for her as somebody who, like, got made fun of in high school and stuff like that. Like, I saw the sincerity behind what Sutton was trying
Mhm.
to do, and when, they started to kind of, like, make fun of her and laugh at her because she couldn't read her own writing because she needed her glasses, I wanna be like, "Shut the fuck up. She's trying to do something now, and you guys are, like, ruining it."
Yeah.
So I thought it was cheesy, but I thought it was really sweet of Sutton and what she was trying to do. But obviously it doesn't work. That's why it should be more witchy. It should be more of a spell to maybe cast over everybody.
If she had said, like, I just, when she said she was talking about sisterhood and they're sisters now, all of them forever. And I was just like, given the show you're on and how it's fueled by sisterhood, that doesn't mean wholesome friendship. That's not a warm, loving. Define
No.
sisterhood in the context of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You're setting yourself up for everyone to fight. So,
Mhm. Yep.
yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my
No, it
gosh.
was cute. I mean, I do think she was one thing, she keeps circling back to that trip to Spain last year. It was like first she had the surrealist ball as a reference to Dolly, and then this time it was another tie-in to Merce, and
I do think it's a bit of her trying to have a storyline.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And relating her storyline this season to her storylines last
yeah.
season, which I think is a bit of a stretch. But hopefully, I mean, I think she's gonna grow. a storyline is going to grow
Yeah.
out of what is
Fights are
happening.
going to like we see the kickoff, which we're about to get into, of Sutton and Dorit on the way home.
Mhm.
And I do believe at a certain point, Sutton and Dorit may be even bigger on the show than Kyle and Dorit, or it's going to be up there. So
Mhm.
Sutton is going to get into the fray.
Well, let's talk about the Sprinter
Yeah.
van. Why don't we?
Well,
Yeah.
I know a
The
Sprinter
Sprinter
van.
van to the plane for a 10-minute flight back to LA.
Well, it opens with. Did you catch that? Sutton. I don't know what time of the day it was. Sutton was pouring Kettle One into her.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
See, this is why I only have time to now with this schedule, I only have time to watch it once.
Mhm.
So it's usually like with Orange County, I would watch it twice. I would watch it once for me, and then I would take notes. So now I only have time to watch it once. So yeah.
My mind wanders to certain people and certain things. It's just I love to
Oh yeah.
observe, and I caught that. I was like, "Is that?" I stopped it. I was like, "What brand is it?" I always love to know what brand these people drink. She was pouring Kettle One into a cup on the bus, and that was the kickoff to the. I think it was one of her grapefruit juice things. So. Straight liquor before lunch. I like her style.
She got her Greyhound going. There we go. So get it going. Well, she stirred it up. I mean, it's interesting the way that and this is kind of why my thing with Dorit went up 45 degrees of like, or kind of going back, because this is an example. This is the perfect example of Dorit not listening to what is being said. That what the problem was that Sutton didn't have an issue with Dorit. She had an issue with Erika and Kyle having a little side conversation instead of bringing it out to everybody, because that's what Sutton wants. She wants those little snide things to be brought out into the open and not be pushed into the back, or to be like, because it really was being said right in front of Dorit's face and other people could hear it, but Dorit didn't hear it. So it was like, you should be saying that we should air this out right now and not let it fester. But Dorit took that as like, oh, we're bringing up this Teddi bullshit again. And she's like, no, it's not about Teddi. And like everybody else actually seemed to get that in the Sprinter van, what Sutton was talking about, you know? And Dorit was the only one who just, she's in such a sensitive place. This is where she really needs to take Erika's advice, because she's so overly sensitive. It's just any little thing just goes, she goes,
She
no, girl,
really,
not you.
she was locked in. I think in that, I feel like when I said earlier that Dorit at the dinner where she was fighting with Kyle, it was like Kim Richards in Amsterdam mode. She was ready to take on the table. And I think she feels threatened in this group, or she feels on the defense in this group. So mention of her, mention of anything, she sees red. She takes it the worst possible way.
Well, I mean, she said to Sutton on the boat, she's like, I feel alone and I feel lonely. And so I get that. So I think, like what you said, she feels defensive because she feels alone. She feels like she's like on this island and nobody's there for me. And then this one person that she kind of opened up to the day before, she thinks is attacking her, but she's not attacking her.
Yeah.
There's just this wall of hurt up, and everything gets filtered through that veil of hurt. And so it's not getting through to her.
And I wonder if Dorit being very aware of who she's fighting with Kyle also feels isolated, because Kyle is famously the ringleader of the cast, and she may feel like Dorit may be aware that Kyle may be trying to gather the other girls against her. So I'm sure she's very, very sensitive right now to any mention of her.
I did love how Dorit yells at Sutton, and Sutton yells back at her, ma'am, ma'am. Like, oh my God. Yes. Like that she just yelled ma'am at her to try to get her to shut up by just yelling ma'am. Ma'am. Like, ma'am, shut up, ma'am.
She got really Southern right there.
She did. She just like, she gets overloaded. I see a lot of myself in Sutton at times, like when she gets overloaded, I'm just like, like it's just like, oh my gosh. But it just devolved so quickly. I had to go back and watch it. That was the only thing I did go back and watch was that fight, because I was like, what is happening here? I don't understand what happened in this like 20-minute ride to the airport. Like what they are fighting about exactly. Like it didn't make sense to me that Dorit got so upset. I just didn't get it. And oh my God, this was what was funny. And I think almost kind of layers a lot with Sutton and like the whole like Captain Theo thing and dating. In the after show, Dorit said in regards to Sutton, I don't think she's that clever. I don't think she's that intelligent. And I was like, oh. I was like, Sutton is going to come after you, girl, for saying that. Because just like Erika said, she's like, because Erika said in the after show, Sutton's very clever. Sutton knows exactly what she's doing. And I was like, yes, she does. Like that's the trick of Southern women. And that's actually the trick of the South, period. It's like they talk slow, they talk with this accent. So you just don't think that people from the South are very smart, but fuck you. They are. Like they know what they're doing. They're just taking their time, getting their shit together. They're just taking their time because they got time. They're very smart. I could go into a whole bunch of stuff, but like that's the whole thing. And that's an arrogance that I do dislike about the North and the West Coast a lot. Like thinking Southern people are slow or stupid. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Ma'am. I go, ma'am. Mm-mm.
I am not the type to judge people by a whole region. I'm like, what's your area code? What street? Guess that neighborhood.
No, you
but
judge
which
them more by a
street?
tax. You judge them more by a tax bracket or a car.
Carrot Way. I don't know. Lots of things. The Four Cs. Yeah.
I mean, I said, like, if I ever do get married, like, I am going to send my fiance to you to be like, go talk to Jordan about my ring. Like, he knows what I want, and he knows good jewelers. He knows what's
I have an
quality.
eye. I have an eye.
I've got you for that. I've got another friend for my cars. Like when I'm finally gonna get another car, because he is a car guy. Oh my gosh, he's my car guy. Like damn, but yeah. Anyway, back to these women. This is the thing. It's kind of a transitional episode with a lot of fighting about a lot of nothing, because Teddi is a lot of nothing. Sorry. No, not sorry. I stand on that, chest out. Teddi's a lot of nothing. She doesn't belong in this episode at all, to be honest with you. I hope this is all that we hear about her this season.
Okay, well, this is something that kept me up at night the other day. It just clicked with me. This is something to think about for next season. We all know Kyle and Teddi. Teddi announces she's moved in with Kyle because, she lives down the street separate. Is this going to be like the 6th consecutive year Kyle has tried to force Teddi back onto the show against our will? Now, are they going to do a Sonia moves Luann into the townhouse? Sonia moves Tinsley into the townhouse. We're going to be stuck with Teddi next season, no matter what.
I hope not.
I know.
I hope not.
Something to think about, something to pray against, something to demanifest.
Look, Andy even says it like on Watch What Happens. Like he's like, I don't understand why people don't like Teddi because like she's perfectly nice. And it's like, well, but sometimes she doesn't, whatever it is, Andy, she doesn't have that it factor for the television. She doesn't have that rapport. Whatever she has in person does not translate through the camera and through the television to the people.
Right.
That's the problem that we have here. Like whatever warmth, whatever congeniality she has, it's only a 1-to-1 or in small groups of people.
Yes.
So you can't continue to force her on us.
Right. She doesn't, because everyone, I've heard who likes her, who knows her. I don't know her, but the people are like, no, she is different off camera. And even Kyle
Mhm.
broke down once and had to admit that. I wish you could see that she's basically Teddi sucks on camera, but I wish you knew her in real
Mhm.
life. Well, that doesn't work. That doesn't translate. So stop trying.
Then you shouldn't be a housewife.
Yeah,
That you can't be well, you can't be on reality television,
yeah.
basically.
Teddi is
Like,
fetch.
it's not for you.
Teddi is fetch, and we're not going to make it happen.
Oh my gosh, she is fetch. She is fetch, but this is the thing. She's not even Gretchen Wiener because there's something lovable about Gretchen Wiener. So she is definitely just fetch.
Yeah. She doesn't.
I love it. Well, I feel like that's all for today. Is that
Yeah.
it for today?
I know. I mean, we give a lot. So if you guys are listening to this one, I hope you listen to the one that came out just before this because it's a whole Beverly Hills bonus. Christmas at Kathy Hilton. So yep. So you know how you guys can make our Christmas dreams come true? We ask so little, Santa listeners. All you have to do is click subscribe. That is right. You can
Subscribe.
rate, review, follow us on social media, you know, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and also YouTube. We're there as well.
We're building that up again. Really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Bye. New Year's, please. I know that you can do. I believe in our listeners. I believe in our watchers. I believe in the people who are even watching it right now who have never subscribed to us and are like, who are these weirdos? Get to know us better. Subscribe to us, and then you get to know us better.
You know,
Just
it
like
would be
Bob
a
said.
great idea to help us. Again, it doesn't cost you anything, and the holidays are coming up. When you're with your family or whoever, your frenemies, doesn't matter. Anyways, like say like you guys take a picture together. Oh, let me see it, and you have their phone. Go on their YouTube and subscribe for them. It's a gift to them and a gift to us, and it costs us. And it costs you nothing at all.
My God, he's so smart. He's a genius. This is why he is Don Gunvalson. This is why he is Twitter's Don Gunvalson.
Just
Genius. Genius.
sneak us into their lives. They'll thank you forever.
They will, for sure.
On that
For sure.
note, cheers, darlings.